welcome to the Waking Up from Work podcast. My name's Dave Swillem. Let's get ready to hustle.
Hey, and welcome back to the Waking Up from Work podcast. This is Dave Swillem, your host, here to kick it off for you. You're listening to episode 45 today. I actually didn't do a terrible job introducing this in our live session, so I'm not going to go too far in on this. I'm also recording this on my AirPods at the Manchester airport, getting home on a Sunday night as a tired dude. I went down to Tennessee and hung out with Meg down in Gatlinburg in Sevierville in a cabin on a mountain, and that was super refreshing. But coming home and traveling late on a Sunday night makes you super tired to head into the week. So we'll see how this week goes here. But today we're talking to Nicole from Rough Edge Media, who goes into PR for bands and for businesses, and we'll go way more into that if you don't know what that is. If you do know what it is, but you haven't figured out some ways that you can kind of get after it, we go into that as well. And if you've been doing it, there's some tips and tricks that Nicole taught me that I've already started to implement and I'm seeing some good results from. So if you are a band or you have a business or you just want to figure out what in the hell PR is, this is a good episode for you. So check it out. Welcome back to the Waking Up from
Work
podcast. That's the first time we've ever done that, dude. I
know, dude. I got
right
one whole word in.
Wow.
That's going to be $150. I'll send it to your people. Don't worry about it.
Welcome back to the podcast, guys. You're listening to episode 45 of the podcast today. Dave and Ryan here.
Yeah. We got to fix the intro.
On Thursday nights.
Sometimes it's like, I'm Dave Swillem. All right, Kerrigan.
I know, we should redo it.
I have to slip it in there.
We got to get your voiceover game on, and we'll have you do it. Yeah. How's that?
I can definitely
Buddy,
do it. I would love to do
you
it.
The Irish voice.
No.
But back to real life. So episode 45 here. We are with Nicole from Rough Edge Media today, and we are talking PR. So my interpretation of PR, right? Public relations, like how does the public view who I am? Because like on the last episode, we just talked a little bit about how sometimes like when you're running an event or you're doing something to create a brand that people view you differently than you view yourself in terms of self-awareness. I think that in my head of PR, kind of in the same light where we view ourselves one way, our family knows us one way, but the things that we do as actions, the people that we hang out with, the events that we go to, all the things that we do make a perception in the public based off of their own biases and their own lives that could be different than our own. And that's where we need someone like Nicole to come in and show us where we need to be at, how we're popping up. Is that right at all? That's my interpretation.
That definitely is. That's actually a pretty deep interpretation because that can get me into like a whole other sorts of conversations. Like that was really deep.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, welcome, Nicole.
High five.
Glad to have
Seriously, the person that you see in the mirror every day, you know, is not necessarily what anyone else sees. And you just went through like a whole list of people. And I just think that that's like incredible. But then there are, you know, certain groups of people who do view you as, you know, let's just say like someone could be like, oh, that guy's like a really happy guy, or that guy isn't necessarily like, you know, someone you want to be around. But that's where public relations does come in because, you know, some people may not even have access to even get to know who you are or even see your talents and what you have to offer in the world. So that's a main portion of PR too, because it's like some people don't have that outlet to, you know, transcend themselves into the public eye. And that's where you have a publicist, so to speak, or a promoter, which is who I would be in essence.
Awesome. So for those of you that might not know Rough Edge Media or they don't know you, Nicole, do you want to just run our audience through who's Nicole, what's Rough Edge Media, you know, what's happening right now?
Yeah, definitely. So Rough Edge Media is an independent PR firm. I run it basically by myself. Just as of right now, I don't see it fit as having a team just for the level that I'm at.
Sure.
But I eventually do want to bring on, you know, a whole bunch of people and start delegating projects But as of right now, I'm still relatively small. As you can tell, I'm working out of my room. So, still not having an office. But I mean, since we
Listen,
live
you can
in a
see behind
technological
me on
world,
every episode of the podcast, my room is so small that I'm renting right now that my closet doesn't house my stuff, and I have a coat rack just chilling in my room. And this setup that you can't see is like my recording desk where I'm like actively mixing and mastering on it for my business. So
It's a really nice desk.
no shade for working like just out of your house to start something up. That's just the way
I mean,
that
that's
it is
where the
today.
magic happens. And
Mhm.
we live in a
Hell yeah.
technological world. So it's like, I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm wearing Ninja Turtle pajamas right now.
Heck yeah.
You know,
That's
Boston.
you should anyway.
yeah, like come on, like I'm living the dream. But
I've literally
honest,
done parts of my commercial reel in my car because I'm just like, sounds pretty decent in
In
here.
Ninja Turtle pajamas or no?
Ah, dude, unfortunately, no.
If you didn't have them, it didn't count.
yeah.
That's
It
an
doesn't
option.
matter.
That's an all option.
I mean, I just have their faces,
Scrap
but like
it.
that's still pretty cool.
Scrap it. I gotta get on this. Gotta go to Walmart.
Yeah.
I think these are from Walmart.
Oh.
You slick,
look
dude. That's what
online.
that
all you can
4
do.
year freaking psychology bachelor degree got me.
Oh.
It's predicting pain.
I'm sorry to completely derail you,
Yeah,
but that
yeah.
like meant a lot to me. So
No, it's okay. Ninja Turtles, obviously, all the way. But I
Mhm.
started off, like I said, I'm really low key right now. I'm just working out of my room. But I started off basically with musicians. That's where I've learned, and kind of when I worked at a different PR company, actually a record label, so to speak. So I just stuck with music, and now I'm a year into my company, so I'm starting to branch out. I'm working with a charity, Jar of Hope. I'm going to be working with a CBD company. So it's like now I'm moving away from individuals, and I'm going to like B2B, business to business in essence, and
Yeah.
like B2C, like business to company, instead of just like one-on-one with like a client, or like in essence, like a band has like multiple members, but still it's more intimate than it would be with a company. So now I'm steering away from just entertainment, and I'm just broadening out. And then eventually, once I broaden out more, then there comes the team. So
awesome. Yeah,
That's
I
where
mean,
I'm
I'm in the same situation where like, and I love the way your head's at on it, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs or creatives always kind of focus on like 1-to-1 ratio. Like, if I can do this thing and make money to do this thing. First of all, if you want to just do 1-for-1, like you're a sole proprietor, you never have a team, you just do that and you just make art, make a living. First of all, I want to say, go for it. Don't ever think that that's a bad thing. But I always do encourage people to have a bigger vision, just if they thought that they couldn't. I like that you're saying, I can do this now and then I can build a team, because I really am drawn to personally doing the creative stuff that I love, and then also finding a way to push time back into my life after I have the ability to, in a way that's scalable in some way, that I can have the best of both worlds someday in my life. Like right now, and for a long time, it's going to be just me.
Yeah.
But I would love it at some point if I have 1 or 2 other younger engineers that work underneath me to streamline different things in the studio, and I could provide work to someone and also give more time back to my wife, or at who knows when, maybe I have kids or whatever I'm doing. I love the idea of not thinking just where you're at now, thinking big picture of like, what can I do with this and how can I have more of an impact? So like, that's awesome that you're already like, how can these things happen?
yeah, I mean, I know we spoke very briefly yesterday, but you said that you were only a little bit over a year into doing this as well. And it's like, but
For
if
the
you
podcast.
yes, but if you
Audio's
reflect
been a
back on
bit.
that full year, you're kind of just like, wow, look how much I've changed in 3 months to 6 months to here. Like I said, I
Yeah.
started out with just musicians. I never thought I'd be talking to companies and charities, but now here I am. So it's like sometimes you get faced with like these barriers or these roadblocks that you think that you can't like surpass and get through, but then you're like, wow, I got through this and now we're continuing forward.
Right.
Or you're like, oh, that was really difficult. I was really scared I was going to fail, but I actually succeeded and I went over it. And now I just opened up a whole new door for myself. Or sometimes you realize that like something is
happens
not for you
quick.
in the same essence. So it's like you just maybe see like, oh, this is not the route I'm going to take. Maybe I should steer away from these kinds of, clients or these kinds of publications or this kind of a route and go here. So you figure out what you don't want just as much as what you do want, especially in the first year, is what I'm noticing in my, journey. But I'm sure it's similar for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different, things that I'm starting to work on for income that I didn't think that I would ever get into. Like, I never thought when I was 16 starting to do audio that I would ever give a shit about real estate one day.
Yeah.
And now I like love
or
it. Or
stocks or something like that.
You know what I mean?
Any kind of investment that
It's
is
so weird.
other than the niche or your interest that you're kind of going after originally.
Yeah. Stuff changes quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, really fast. I can't believe it's been a year already. I'm just like looking back and I'm like, wow. And I noticed so many things when busy season is, when slow season is, and it's probably different for you, but same in a certain way. But it's like, you're kind of like just trial and error, especially in the first year. And then it's like the next year, I'm sure things will be different, because even before I had Rough Edge Media, I had a different media company, but I had a partner. Actually, I had two partners back then. We spoke briefly about this also.
Yeah.
So I know, the difference between working by myself and working with someone else, and then also having something kind of fail beforehand and then kind of redo it again. It's like you never really start from nowhere. You have experience in it, and you're like, wow, I would have never known how to do this, X, Y, and Z if it wasn't for Miss Media beforehand, or if it wasn't for me and this other girl. So it's like everything's a building block, and where you are now, it was exactly where you're supposed to be. So I feel like this year, this time, everywhere I am, it's like, all right, like I'm on the right track. I'm where I want to be, but I always get that anxiety. I'm like, wait, I'm not doing enough, or, maybe I should be somewhere else.
All the
it's
time.
Just like,
that's rampant on this podcast with us and guests. That's constant.
Yeah. The constant.
It's like anyone
need
that go gets. It's always like, crap, am I wasting time right now? Am I not doing enough? And it's like a pro and con. Like, it's good because it drives you, but it's bad because it drives you when you need to chill.
Drives you insane.
Yeah.
It's just like, I shouldn't be thinking about this at 4:00 in the morning after I haven't been sleeping for 2 hours. Just
exactly.
Yeah, I should be allowed to do that thing. So
what is sleep? Please explain to me.
For people that are out there, like, I would think that, a lot of people who are just getting into business, definitely artists all over the place, a lot of people don't even have any idea what PR entails, or what they can do themselves,
or
and
why it matters,
or when they should be reaching out to someone. So what would you say, to people who might be they're in their band, but they're really working to make it bigger? What would you tell them? Like, what should they be doing themselves for PR? What should they be doing to reach out to someone like you for? Like, what things help for that?
A lot of people don't know what PR is, and a lot of people just ask me all the time, like, what do you do? Because they have no idea.
Yeah.
And that's because it is pretty broad. So I guess I would start out, first thing is, when you're ready for PR, you obviously have to like review your past year or however many months that you've been. I'll just start off with bands. Okay. So if you're a band and you're trying to, look into PR, do you have something that you can provide to an audience? And it's like, okay, you have a CD, right? You have an EP, you have an LP. That's one thing.
Right.
Another thing would be, who is your audience? Who are you targeting? So what's your genre? Figure out what you're trying to, sell to the audience and what you're trying to provide. Who your audience is. And then you have to like create and define your target, which would be leaning towards your audience. So like, while you're analyzing your business and you're analyzing your music, and this is what you're doing on your own right now, you want to basically just take all of that and see where you can like place it. So you research it. So if you're looking for punk rock, you're looking at all punk rock publications. If you want it to be Spotify playlists, you're obviously going to look for Spotify curators. If you want it to be YouTube reviewers, you're going to look on YouTube. If you want it to be like Instagram influencers, which are huge, you want to collab with them as well. You reach out to them on Instagram. And then any form of like a publication, a blog, you just want to make sure it's like genre based, because that's who your audience is. That's how you're basically analyzing everything. And with all of that, when you know where you want to place yourself, you either want to, make up a press release or a press kit. And that's what you're going to be basically sending out to these outlets.
Cool.
You know, you don't want to always, sometimes people copy and paste things and it just seems really just inauthentic.
Right.
I would say even before just pitching yourself to these outlets, whoever they are, curators or, you know, writers, just like connect with them and say like, hi, how are you? Like, I really, really like this article, like reference a work that they've done. So it shows that like you care, but actually don't just like,
Slam it.
Don't just be like, oh, I Googled the first thing about you and then clearly picked the first line of it and spouted it off to you to be an in. Just like, no.
Exactly.
And we were talking just about that with like the authenticity. And this is like another repeating thing where it comes in where it's just like everybody, human beings like have a knack, especially nowadays, for just, you know, just straight up bull where you're just like, yeah, we can tell that you just... You know, so that's like the do-gooder in school who's just like, oh, hi, professor, I saw that you taught this class. It's just like, yeah, you looked up my curriculum, my CV, and then you read the first two things and memorized it to try to be, you're just brown nosing, get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah, they know.
So it's like, you know, people appreciate, especially, you know, artists and creatives, when somebody wants to actually sit down. You know, I love sitting down with some of my, you know, comedian and writer friends because, you know, they make me laugh. And it's genuine, or, you know, you get really into their stuff. And so actually sitting and bridging the gap in a real authentic way is that important part. And I think that you're really right. Where like, oh, hey, can I initiate contact without just like how, and do you find that works? Like that people appreciate that initial thing where you don't just seem like somebody who's kind of, oh, you know, it looks like they're looking for a job or they're just like looking for something from me. You know, what kind of separates that? Yeah.
But I mean, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to always accept what you have to sell or accept what you have to offer, but you're still making that small connection in the future that you have no idea how that network is going to benefit you. You know, they may say no now, but you may have someone else that better suits them, or you may need them in the future, or they may know somebody and they may be like, you know what, this girl, Nicole, was really genuine, really nice. You know, let me help this person out. Or you just were a nice, normal human being and you initiated contact with someone else and you just want to connect. You know, it's not always about what can you do for me? I mean, of course, you know, you're trying to push your artists, you're trying to push your clients, and you're trying to make sure they get, you know, the placements that they want.
Right.
And that's even where rejection comes in. Cause sometimes it's tough. Like, you know, you get rejected and you have to have really thick skin. And it's like on both ends, not only you, but also your musician or the comedian or, you know, placing this charity. Someone had told me that they were like, oh, I'm not the person to cover this. And at first you're like, wow, you seem really cold hearted because this is for like, you know, this charity basically is helping children who are dying. But you have to also understand that this is also a business and people will be like, please remove me from my list. And you just keep going because you're like, you know what, out of all the no's that you hear, there's going to be more yeses.
If you're not hearing no, then you're not getting yeses, is my opinion on it.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're not hearing no's, then you're not getting yeses because you're not giving yourself enough chances.
Yep.
Exactly. Because you reach out to 30 people a day, maybe 10 of them won't answer, maybe 5 of them will say no, but you'll get 2 yeses. And it's just, you have to keep going. So it's like just, I hate the word spam, but you just have to send so much stuff out. But it doesn't have to be copy and paste. You actually have to put care into it instead of just being like, all right, like here, I'm going to copy, paste, copy, paste, copy and paste. They could tell that. Like
that's
not
spamming when it's copy paste, copy paste.
That's actually the definition of spam.
When you're catering something to every single individual brand, and then you're taking a second to find out information about them, so that you are saying what's relevant to them. That I don't think that's spamming. That's just trying to connect. And if they don't want to connect, then it's fine.
I guess the only reason why I use the word spamming is because I'll like. Just like the amount of people I reach out to, I'm just like, how is this humanely possible?
Right.
I'm like, wait, what's going on?
But I feel like the way that I gauge it, because like I get hit up with people, right? And the way that I gauge it is if I get hit up by someone and they do exactly what you just said, where like they have zero context for why they have reached out to me, and they're just like, hey, blah, 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 you should do this thing that I would like you to do. And that's the first thing that they say.
You just delete it.
That feels like spam to me because I'm like, dude, like you don't know me. You're not trying to do anything to work together, you know? And that feels like spam. But like even like if you send something, you did send something to me, but like you send something that's like somewhat personalized in any way. If you do that 100 times in the day, I don't feel that you spammed any of those people. unless you did it so that it's the same message to all those people and they're all like, you feel like a robot. You literally feel like a robot.
Exactly.
That feels like spam to me. It doesn't feel, I don't think that's spam. I think that that's just hustle.
Hustle. Yeah, hustle versus spam.
Mm-hmm.
Spam is just like gross in general, the word. Like, and
The
even
food.
like there's a food. Yeah, like what? I don't get that. I don't know. I saw a commercial for
I
it
gotta
today, and
defend
honestly
spam.
freaked
I gotta
out.
defend the food.
Oh,
It's good.
That's a good camping food.
Fry it. Yeah, it's very good camping food.
Yeah, it's good for that. So I want to jump back a little bit because literally last night I spent 3 hours making my EPK.
I was gonna
with
say
my
we
band
were
members.
just
literally
looking at it
last night
before we got on.
I was doing that, and I told some people beforehand with this because I knew that you started out working with musicians. I told them that we would dig in a little bit on PR for musicians because so many musicians at this point in time are not only not getting on a record label on purpose, like they are running, they're able to run everything that they need to, and once they get bigger, even bigger bands are then subbing out pieces of record labels, like just the PR team or just the marketing or just the distribution of labels to not be on a label, because that's what you need now, because you don't have to be on a label. Exactly.
You don't need a CD anymore. Like there's no more Best Buy, and it's all digital. Everything is all digital. So it's
which
like,
you can do.
I mean, vinyls are in, but at the same time, you don't really need a record label for that. So like, why are you going to give up your royalties to just go to a record label when you're going to spend all this time in their studio, which is great. I mean, that's something, if you really need a studio and you can't find one on your own, then I guess like you want them to pay for it, but they kind of own your soul. And it's like, I don't want to own anybody. That's like not my steez.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not like naive. There's still a place for record labels in the world. It's just not for indie artists.
No,
most of the time. It's for
a different level of an artist, but at the same time, I also really feel like
it depends.
You just need you just need to outsource. That's just me with my experience with record labels. Like the one that I interned at was amazing and I loved it. But you just saw how the industry was changing, and you're kind of like, all right, PR is something that I want to stick with. And if you need A&R, you could find a manager. It's just like, you just need like the puzzle pieces to put it together, and you can basically create your own team, your own empire without, everyone owning your royalties. And like all your creative control could be yours if you just like trust yourself.
For small indie bands, but like they're really after it. They're like, you know what, I'm working hard on this. What should they be doing to find, playlist curators and try to get on blogs to do their own initial PR before they get to someone bigger like you? Like, what should people be doing right now? How do they do that?
I'm still pretty indie myself. I hope one day I'm huge, like big picture media. Or like, who knows, maybe I'll get absorbed into like some futuristic record label.
Yeah.
But for right now, like I said, like basically review everything that you're doing, go through all of those steps and plan. And once you have that product that you want to give out to the audience, then that's when you're going to formulate either a press release and research yourself. So you're looking for Spotify curators, make your own Spotify account, follow other people's playlists. Sometimes you have to get credits and pay for Spotify. But if you just Google like Spotify playlists and then you follow their accounts, and once you follow it, you go through like a submission form and you just submit your music, whatever it is. And they usually will let you know within think about it, thousands of people are, using these submission forms. Oh my
God, tons.
So you want to take your research one step further, like just straight up stalking status, where it's like, all right, like I'm looking up this Spotify playlist. Let's just say it's called like punk rock and pop punk or whatever. I don't know. And you're like, all right, I'm going to Google this, whatever. I found that this person's name is a curator. Then you like put it into Facebook, you put it into Instagram, you like look it up on LinkedIn, you go on like Rocket Reach, which is a really great website to get people's emails by searching their names. Yeah. Wow. I used to do a lot of, I am pretty good at stalking.
You kind of have to be right now.
Yeah.
It's literally like life is one big sales job right now, and the technology allows you to get past gatekeepers. Right. It's crazy.
It's all research. That's all. Yeah. That's all it is. So once you're going to all these avenues,
insane. It's unbelievable.
I almost want to go and like look myself up now.
Damn.
Well, dude,
I don't want to look myself up.
It's funny.
You're right. I actually don't freak myself out.
Yeah, you'll find some like deep, dark, like past. Like, wait, what is this?
Like Ron Swanson
That
when he
happened in third
realizes
grade.
that he like is on Google Earth and he whips his computer in the dumpster. Just get it away from me.
That's awesome. So
Rocket Reach is great. So like if you have someone's name and you like create an account, so it's kind of like, all right, Amazon Prime, you put a new email in every month just to get the free account, So it's you could do the same thing with Rocket Reach. Every time you create an email, you get 5 free lookups. So you can just create endless emails. You don't ever have to actually like pay for it. Sorry, Rocket Reach. But and just look up 5 free
Made a
ones
loophole, Rocket Reach.
I'm all about those loopholes. But listen, like you're trying to do guerrilla marketing and you're trying to save yourself money until you make it big. And if you make it big, because like, let's be real here. There's so many people out there. There's so much competition. But if you keep trying and you try your hardest and you just do your research and you accept the rejection and you move past it, I think that anyone could get out of anything. And just even with your music, if you put out one EP and you see like, all right, it didn't stick to certain outlets. Now I know for next year. That's why when I say the first PR strategy is to review your year in PR, that's the first thing you do, because it's like, oh, did I have any PR? Is this my first EP? Is this my first album? Where am I going with this? So you have to have something to compare it to. If you have nothing to compare it to and you're, first starting out, that first year in your PR, your first run is the trial and error of what you need to fix in your first album,
right.
what you need to fix in your campaign, how your planning goes, and just a whole slew of things. So I think that like that, even with my company, 1 year goes by and I'm in a completely different place. And I'm looking back a year ago and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
I would have never been there. I would have never done that if I didn't change X, Y, and Z. So you just always have to reflect and just research. So if you're starting out by yourself, research, reflect, research more.
That's cool. And you know what? I think that speaks something that it's like PR, like I'm sure that like just like you just dropped that tip about Rocket Reach, there's a lot of tips that because you've been doing it that people aren't able to do, but like also what you essentially just answered to me about like how do we get on these playlists? How do we get into these music blogs and stuff? Ultimately your answer was like do the fucking work.
Reach
and
out
then
to
you
people.
will get
play on the place,
right? Because I
Play
think
in
that's
the
where a lot of
environment.
people fail, where they're like, "Oh my god, I can never get on any playlists. I can never get into any blogs." And then like Nicole will probably be like, "Perfect. How many people did you reach out to?" And they're like, 20. And she's like, "Yeah, I reach out to 100 a week or 100 a day." And then they're like,
and maybe they don't answer or they say
mhm.
no, but you just got to keep going. People
Yeah.
just give up too easily.
"Yeah, they
And
do."
it's a waiting game. Oh my gosh, is it a waiting game? Like, I used to get really bad anxiety in the beginning because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're
Why
not
aren't they
answering me.
me? Yeah.
But now
they're busy as you are too, or more busy than you.
You start thinking about stuff. You're like, they hate me. They're never gonna
Yeah.
answer me. They don't want to talk to me.
It's
I
all
just
about
got
you, is it?
ghosted.
Then they answer like 6 months later, and they're like, "Hell yeah, absolutely, let's do it."
Yeah.
You're like, who the
Like,
fuck are
You
you,
don't know.
again?
Sometimes people are
Word.
going through like a transition with, hires internally with their company, and they just like switched over a position. You have no idea. Maybe they're just genuinely not interested. So it's like,
right.
I'm a
You don't
huge
know.
overthinker in a lot of aspects of my life, and I really need to stop that. But this job has taught me more patience and taught me like, okay, calm down, follow up with them, just keep following up. Eventually they're going to answer and be like, remove me from my list, or, oh my gosh, I completely didn't see this. And then they'll answer you. So you just have to
That's
be really
awesome.
persistent and resilient. And that's something that I can definitely say that I am. And, you just have to have trust with your clients, just let them know like, dudes, like I'm trying my hardest. I want like I'm not, you just have to be honest, and you can't make it always about the money. Like sometimes my artists will be like, one of my bands right now I'm working with, Back From Nothing. They're amazing, great group of guys. They just released their EP, Someone Say Something, back in December. And,
Sick.
it's the holiday time. It's a little bit slow. Sometimes things are slow. And we have like a set package for like 6 to 7 publications. And he's like, if we go over, please let me know. Like, I'll send you money. And I'm like, dude, just stop. Like, stop about the money. Sometimes you have to just let them know, like, I'm not trying to just rob your pockets. Like, let's just we'll take it one step at a time. If you need to bill me, I'll let you know. But like, it doesn't matter right now. Like, let's just focus on getting your album out there. And it's like, when people hear that, I feel they're like, okay, you're not trying to nickel and dime me. You're not like all out for my money. Cause I'm not. Like, I've ripped up checks before. If I haven't had enough time for a campaign, there are times where I wouldn't even cash the check until afterwards. Because obviously I still need to make money. I still need to eat. This is a business. I have to put money into it. But I'm just like, I'm not trying to get one over on anybody. Like that's not my thing.
Mm.
So.
And it takes time. It takes time for results.
And people,
time to
people
get into
appreciate
stuff.
that stuff. People appreciate.
No, they
people
do. Especially in this
people would
industry.
really remember that because being in creativity, like there's always that modicum of like you're eating it for so long, and it's like it's such a struggle for so long, and like every single one of us know what it's like to either be in that position now to some degree or to have been like completely in the shit at some point. And you remember back like in those shitty times where like people could have been equally shitty to you, but instead they throw you a bone or they remind you that, you know, that they're there to help you too. And you remember that on the come up. And, you know, hopefully we get put back into positions where you know, like we were talking about, like you get to give back to that, or, oh, maybe someday I hire a little intern, or I'm not going to cash my check quite yet because like the job's not over. And those are the things that I think really like bring the creative field together, and like with like the collab at least. And that goes a long way for sure.
It's just respect. It just comes down to respect and your morals. And you just got to let people know, like, listen, I'm busy. I'll get back to you. Or, you know, just little things in this industry, because like sometimes I have to chase my artists and it's not a big deal. Sometimes they have to chase me. It's just like constantly like, you know, you try to get there as much as you can, but you let them know when you update them. Like, all right, listen, I know I owe you a show. I know I got you here. Don't worry. Like I have everything planned out. Like I got you. Don't think I'm just going to like disappear. Because especially like you said, in this industry, it's kind of just like goes without saying that you have to eat it for a while, or you meet like those people that are like less than genuine or less than desirables. Right. Because, you know, I've seen the not so bright side of the industry, and then I've seen like beautiful sides of this industry. So I've seen both sides of the spectrum, and it's like, I don't ever want to go back to the other side of the fence, because that was scary. That was something. And that's kind of what I pride myself in. Like, I'm trying to make sure that this company just prides itself on honesty and loyalty and trust. Because like, if you can't find that in a person, in someone that you're handing money to, for a service, then I think that you shouldn't be paying this person. You should find someone else.
Yeah.
If you can't trust that person, or you have like second thoughts, then like find someone else, because you're just, people are grimy out there. But like I said, there's also really good people out there that understand that like, this is work, this is a hustle, you're not being left behind. But just, if you're willing to work with each other, you got to go through highs and lows, and at the end, you'll come out of it and be like, wow, like, you know, this person worked really hard for me. And on both ends, you can see it. You can even see the bands working really hard, or, you know, the comedians or the filmmakers, you know, whoever.
They're working hard to get their own stuff going, right?
Yeah.
What's more, like I've always wanted to know, what's more impactful, good PR or bad PR?
I feel like people
like does good
love negative.
Like do people? Yeah, I was gonna say, because people. I wanted to ask specifically too, because nowadays, like with like how prevalent media is and how quick everything is, and like how fast information travels. Like it almost seems like, oh, you know, there are so many good things out there, but people are almost like obsessed with the drama or the bad things or the, you know, the newest piece of news. So like, what is more impactful in your opinion?
I try my hardest to stay away from bad PR, just because I don't want that. But I do.
Does that make
agree.
you like a bad? Does that make you like a bad PR firm? And are there bad PR firms like TMZ and shit like that, where they're just like, let's find as much bullshit as we can on people?
No, I think that's a great. Yeah. It's a great tactic, because they say no news is bad news. You know, like if you're just completely just flatlined, that's a bad thing. But I mean, personally, since I'm first starting out, I'm not trying to create scandals. I'm not trying to get under that. I mean, if a scandal did happen, would it help me out? I don't know. If I was a big PR company and something so minuscule happened, but it was like got everyone's attention, I think that it would definitely help. Because there's a lot of fake scandals and dramas out there that celebrities just, you know, the rap battles and the rap.
It's so interesting.
High rap
it's
thing.
So interesting.
They're doing all that. Yeah. It's all fake, but like people are like, yeah, like, did you hear that diss track? And you're like, okay.
I feel like bad PR is like, and dude, people are gonna hate me. My friend TJ will hate me for saying this.
Do it.
Like some of like some of the WWE stuff, where like when like you know that it's fake.
Uh-huh.
You know that it's fake.
Yeah.
Yes,
But,
no,
like-
that's bad PR. It has to be authentic.
But if you go there, no. But if you go to a WWE show and like from the outside, like I went to one because I got some tickets
Hell yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Hell
You bought
I
them
went
yourself.
there.
Let's be
I'm-
real.
Come on,
No,
dude.
I got them for free. Wait, hold on. When I was younger,
Okay.
I did buy them myself. I did go to
He's
it. So
defending
listen,
himself adamantly. He
I'm
bought
still
him
a
himself.
big old Kane fan. I'm still an Undertaker fan. Like, listen, I back it up too. I'm
hell
a
yeah.
hypocrite. I'm a big old walking hypocrite. But what I think about WWE is like I was there. And I'm like, all right, guys, this is kind of ridiculous, right? And I'm looking around, and there's people like, yeah, hit him with the chair, and some people all in. They're like,
They're into
yeah,
it.
and I was like,
can't believe that he
this-
nailed his
this
wife.
guy next to me
It's
is
just
like,
dude, they're not
he
real.
thinks he's hitting him with the chair. That's
Mhm.
fine. Like people are gonna trash on me. They're like, dude, he did. Like some people do, but I mean, I think of PR like that where it's like there's such like there's an action thing happening. So like let's all pile in, and it's just like it's just
Yeah.
the excitement and the thrill of it, which is people will just hone in on anything that's like that.
Mhm.
So it's and they always say to like create polarizing content. You always want some people to adversely disagree with what you're saying,
Right.
right? Because if you're making polarizing content, then you also have someone on the other side that equally loves what you are saying and now feels super attached to you. So I feel like bad PR almost is like polarizing content where it's like
As
it's
long as
bad
you-
to someone else, and then like you go to work and when you're talking about that bad PR to someone, you're like, can you believe that so and so did this? And they're like, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of a cool guy. Like it's like, it's not that bad. And you're like, he beat some woman up. That's the worst. And
Yeah.
he did a dogfight, or like there's like bad shit, and,
Oh my
and like you run into some people and they're like, well, yeah, but he did, and you're like, what?
No.
And that's
Like, are you
where
about to,
bad,
are you
Yeah.
defend
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like,
dogfighting?
that's where the bad PR, where you're like, I fucking like, I don't understand it. I don't know why it works that way, but like it does work in some ways. Like it's crazy.
I guess it depends on the context of the PR, because I feel nowadays people are so apt to. It doesn't even really matter who you are. Just be like, oh, do you remember that time I went 15 years back on your Twitter and I found this one time where you said this unsultry
Yeah.
thing completely
Yeah.
out of context. And it almost seems like, oh, even as far as like your good PR will go, like if you do one thing or like, yeah, I'm thinking of somebody who's kind of in my position where I'm not in a position to do anything other than what I would be doing myself. And I feel like it would be, let's just say like you're an upstart comedian or something, and you're in kind of this you're in this environment where it's like you could say something that's kind of it's a joke, but people don't like take jokes so hot nowadays, and
right.
you could kind of like set yourself up, even though you've just been squeaky clean on the ball, totally fine, totally awesome in this perception of being perceived well in the public light, and then you have this one thing that just takes you completely off the rails, even if it wasn't even super big deal.
Yeah.
It seems
Isn't
like
that
nowadays
insane?
people are like, they are in love with doing that, where it's like that's the be all end all. It's like, oh yeah, hey, donating billions of dollars to charity every year. Remember when you said that one thing 10 years ago on the internet? Canceled. You're canceled.
Get rid of 'em.
You and
Let's
your
go.
show and your sister's show are canceled.
Yeah, but they
And that-
do that
yeah.
because, well, see, people never like to focus on themselves, and they don't like to focus on the bad parts of themselves.
Mm.
So when they're looking at the negatives in someone else, it makes it so much easier for them to just forget who they are. And
Yeah, it
people
turns the scope.
want them to forget. Like they're like, oh, don't hold me, hostage from my past. But then like they'll hold someone else's past over them. So it's like,
Mhm.
as much as you want to change, you don't allow other people to change. And I mean, like, listen, sometimes you could do some
Right.
pretty bad things that can get in the public eye, and it's messed up. I believe that everyone can change and everyone can turn over to a new leaf. I hope that I don't receive any bad PR that's like dog fighting or anything like that, because I love dogs. But I mean,
Right.
if I ever have any kind of a little
Remy
scandal
looks
thing going on,
drafty.
I don't think it would hurt me. I think maybe people would get like, oh wow, like what is this? Like this is cool, but that's not my swagger. So I want to stick to good PR. But I do know that no news is bad news. So you want to have some kind of PR going on at all
Right.
times, even if it's like a little bit bad. Just
And
you can't
it's-
flatline.
It all depends on like how society and culture has
Ooh,
formed
baby.
and shifted at this point, whether it ends up playing out well or not. Like let's just take the Elon Musk smoking some weed thing, right?
Yeah.
If
Dude, the internet
so-
lost its mind.
right, internet loses its mind. Stocks take a hit, right?
Yeah.
Tesla eats some shit on stocks. Wall Street
Yeah.
is like, what's going on, right? If he did that and it was 30, well, no, probably longer. Let's say he did that 1950s.
Mhm.
PR, toast, done. He's Satan. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately enough, like, yeah, that rippled really quick, right? But I think long tail, that helped him because so many people in our generation and so many states legalizing, we're all just like, that makes you the coolest fucking entrepreneur. Like, you're the man, dude.
And then back to that
You know what I mean? Like, not
authenticity,
enough
that
people
the
like were
relatability.
mad about that for it to be bad
Oh, I
PR.
wasn't. I was just
but
like, dude,
initially,
fuck yeah, this guy's the man.
initially it was bad PR. But
Yeah.
it's like long tail that had like
Well,
a
did
positive
you hear?
effect for
Like,
him.
did you? If you actually watched that episode, you can hear Elon's. I don't even know if it was like his PR person who was with him at the podcast, but you can hear him talking in the back. Where he's like, "Oh, we shouldn't." He's like, you can hear him being like, Elon, what are you gonna? It's just, and Joe's just like, "Oh man, yeah, you're gonna start getting those calls soon." He's like, "Oh yeah, we're already getting them." Or however the fuck Elon talks.
Yeah, but however, like an alien.
hmm
Yeah.
That guy is.
But
an
it's
alien,
like-
but he's a genius alien.
Oh
But
my
how many
God, dude.
people smoke weed, right?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And that's like, isn't it weird how there's this like strange, and I wanted to like kind of get your take on this, where like, how do you deal with the perception of like kind of like the two different worlds where like you have like this business kind of corporate-y world, and then like we were talking about like the general feel of the culture, and like how those two things like they blend with each other, but they are also somewhat separate too at the same time.
You mean my company versus?
Versus just like how like I guess like the general like culture would see things, where like you have the perspective of kind of like the corporate view, and then you would have like more a different view coming at it if you and I were just talking like over dinner or something like that, or we were just friends having a conversation about it.
Okay, so you're saying basically how would like a corporate company view like my company in the
Like-
culture wise?
Well, I guess how do you manage like that balance between the two things where like you maintain kind of do you know what I mean? Like a good business perception, but also at the same time, like the mix between the perception of like the normal regular happenings of the people, and
Yeah.
then kind of like in the business sense. I'm sorry, I'm not articulating.
I know what
it.
you're
No,
saying.
it's not you.
I know what
I'm
you're
just like
saying.
I've had a long
No.
day, so I'm just like, what
I
is
have
he
too.
asking? My phone
Yeah.
overheated, and I think I did as well. No,
You're saying
okay, so
basically like, how do you maintain a like say you're working B2B or you're doing anything that is in contact with businesses,
Mm,
but also like there's a million other sides to you or your brand
mm,
that are informal or casual or whatever.
right.
How do you maintain
balance that out.
Mhm.
what do you do to like balance between
Right.
the crowds and then maintain your integrity and maintain like
Yeah.
your you?
Because we were talking about this kind of like the last time where with the events where if you come off too corporate, like you're very like tight on the collar and kind of stuffy,
Okay.
and then if you come across as too, I'm too with the people or I'm too laissez-faire or whatnot, then
Yes.
you kind of like lose people on the other end, and it's
Yeah.
just like how do you manage the equilibrium between those two things?
Okay, I get it now. Yeah, thank you. Okay, perfect. My
love
phone
that.
and I
I love that
I'm
overheated.
question.
gonna go read my whole question. I had
so-
another question.
That I feel like I'm still always like thinking about that balance because of
Same.
my company is called Rough Edge Media for a reason, because I'm rough around the edges. I'm not like your perfect polished human. So I feel like you kind of know what you're getting into at the start. Not saying I'm just like you said, laissez-faire or whatever, but like this is who I am. This is my personality.
Yeah.
Also, I do get business wise too, because sometimes like I'm very laid back and down to earth, but if something happens, like there was a time where there was supposed to be an interview for my one artist, Brandon Flippin, and they like said they were going to do it, and then it was just like really choppily done. It didn't stream where they said it was supposed to stream, and I was
Right.
just free, and I was like, you know what, that's it. I told them my piece, I told them how I felt, blah blah blah. I kind of like went through everything, and I got my business pants on, and then my one artist was like, whoa, like I didn't expect that from you, but I'm so happy that you would actually like go to bat for me and fight for me like that. He's like, you're so like down to earth, you're so easy to talk to. So I feel like there's always like that, like
Time
I'm
and
very-
place.
I'm very laid back, but then like once it comes time to business, like I put my business pants on. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. Like if you say you're going to be somewhere, you say you're going to do something, even with my clients, like you have to, like you say, bridge the gap between like if you're friends with your clients and if you're, just working with them, which I'm friends with all of them. I had someone cancel on me. And I was just kind of like, you agreed to this, agreed to that. It made me look bad. Sometimes you have to put your foot down and let them know, like, even your clients, there's a kitty. But you just have to let them basically know, like, I do mean business, no matter how laid back I am, because the public doesn't view you this way. It's your clients that view you this way because they see that other side of you. The publications, sometimes they see my laid back sides, but they mainly just see me for business. But it's mainly the clients I have to kind of gauge that whole business versus, laid back attitude with. And sometimes it's tough, but you have to let them know that you are business at the end of the day.
I think there's both too. Like a lot of it is your personality. So like if you're a businessy, like a person down to business, or like a person that's chill, like that's going to rub off anywhere in your life, even when you're in a business climate, acting in business or not, and as well as your personality of the who you are can also shine out in those places where people will probably feel that, where like I like to think that I'm chill, right? Like, and a lot of times, like I don't care about whatever people are doing and things like that. But there's times in both environments where I'm doing both, where there are times with my band when, like, I don't know, it's 2 a.m. and we're on tour and we're in a state that we've never been in and we need to find a place. 2 a.m. after I've been drinking and playing music shouldn't be business time, but my whole band was like fucking around and I was like, guys, we have no place to sleep right now because we didn't plan, like some things changed. We didn't have this plan together. And I had to be like business mode. I was like, get the fuck off the sidewalk, stop drinking. We have no place to sleep right now. Ooh, we have no parking lot that we can even like wing this in right now. We have nowhere and no one is solving this problem. And I had to like rally the troops and be like,
for Dave.
All right, let's go. Let's go. But that was like an atmosphere where like, I'm like playing in a hardcore band at that point. I'm in like ripped black on black. I'm like chilling out on the sidewalk somewhere in the ghetto. That's not really like business time, but I had to be all business to be like, let's figure this shit out, guys. Like enough, But same thing, right?
So
when I'm in my day job wearing a full-fledged suit, I'm still talking Pink Floyd and I'm still going to be like cracking jokes and I'm still like, I don't know, like people who might want less character, I can't give it. I have to be me. And so even though I'm in that suit and I'm there to do business and like I'm still doing decent at what I'm supposed to be doing,
that's awesome.
I'm still dicking around with like the same stuff that's relative to my life because it's all I know how to do.
It's like, I'm sorry, I'm
you're
always
getting it whether you want
level.
it or not,
Yeah.
and you're gonna see me, and you're gonna see me as a professional because goddamn. But at the same time, I'm gonna fuck around because like that's who I am, and you're gonna see both of those.
I like
but do you want someone who's uptight all the time? No, like you have to.
You don't want that either. Well, some people do, and that's
some
just
people
like,
really love that.
There are people. They're
like
really
with their doctors. They're like, oh, he's a total jerk. He has terrible bedside manners, but he's great. I mean, I guess that's because it's your life. But like at the same time, I don't care if you're really a jerk as long as you're just like going to keep me alive.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that's the only kind of industry I think that like I wouldn't really care about someone's personality. But we're in a industry where you have to have personality. Like if you're connecting with the public and you're making connections, you're in a band as well and real estate, obviously. And then also talking to people through a podcast, obviously. So everything that you're doing is connecting with people. So if you're just like completely uptight, like no one, and you're always just business, no one's going to want to do business with you. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that. So like aside from things like interviews, videos, blogs, like other places to connect, are there any like event style things that you've recommended to people or like places that they should show up or like activities that they should do so that they're connecting with the right people or they're in the right light in some way? Do you get granular in that way too?
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Because that totally shifts perception all the time. Like, oh, I saw so-and-so doing this thing at this place. that immediately can alter how someone thinks about someone.
100%.
It's crazy.
Like with bands playing shows, like what else can you do to get yourself out there and actually show your product?
Right.
Play shows. That's obvious number one. Even like taking it one step further, like events like grassroots marketing, I would say, setting up tents at certain like Asbury Park. I know you're not from around here, but I live in Jersey. So like Asbury Park has like these punk rock flea festivals. Same with Trenton. There's like a couple other festival stuff like that. There's music and film festivals just, around. There's Garden State Film Festival. Just try to get onto these things. Just try to see if you can vend at certain places,
Right.
at EDM concerts, anywhere. Just like if you just Google things, and if you're, trying to get into health and fitness and food, look up farmers markets, stuff like that. Like look up what your genre is, look up what your audience is, and then you see what's going on around your town.
I like that.
And then you do it. Like pump your logo out. That's something I need to get more into, is just like going to these festivals and pushing my logo out. And even like, like the charity that I'm working with now, like he basically to fund awareness and donations for the charity for Duchenne, he's running all these marathons. He's, going to New Zealand, which he's in right now. He was just in Miami, Florida,
Right.
All just to save his son's life. He's not just sitting behind a desk constantly just asking for donations. He's going out there and creating these events. Or he did a Texas Hold'em tournament
Cool.
to try to like raise awareness, and they raised like 130,000 for these children that are suffering with Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Sure.
So it was just like you just have to be out there, because showing face is something that you really have to do. Whether you like doing it or not, you have to do it.
That's awesome. That's like
I hate people
there's a
seeing my
studio, the studio I freelance out of. I remember when I was interning there, and we had bands coming in from like England and Australia, and I'm like, dude, we're in a small town in Massachusetts. Like, why are these bands here? And he's like, because it makes them look cooler. I'm like, what's up? And I'm like,
Yeah,
and they're like,
I
because
don't get it.
they are literally choosing to record like as a local artist, literally local artists in America, in this small town, because it looks cool to go record your EP as a small artist. Think about the talk on the street, the difference, right?
Right.
If I in New Hampshire with my band go down to Manchester and record, you might think it's cool if you're into music. You're like, oh, it's cool that they're recording.
Right.
That's sweet. They're taking it seriously enough to like try to get that music distributed in some way professionally.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But if I told you, I was like, hey man, this weekend I'm heading down to Austin to go record a record, or I'm heading over to the UK to go record a record, you'd be like,
Yeah, that does sound
Whoa.
way more cool.
it just sounds cooler.
Even though you're
if
just not
I
that
went
cool.
to England, dude, and I went into the smallest studio, smaller than this professional studio in Manchester,
But
New
it's in
Hampshire.
England.
But it's in England.
You can drink
That-
Guinness and eat shitty
that's
It's all
fish.
about
alters
perception
perception.
and how other people perceive it.
Perception is reality.
Yes. Well, perception is also relative.
Yeah.
So everyone
Ooh.
views like we started out this
Whoa.
whole
Oh,
conversation.
we're gonna
It's
get
got
all
double whammy.
philosophical and shit. I haven't drank enough yet. Yeah, for this.
We just went full
This is
circle.
like what Dave and I talk about at like 10:45. Like when the podcast is after
Over
we're
a
just
cold
like,
cup of water.
Right.
Like,
It's just like, dude, we need to be sober for this.
yeah. Oh man.
Oh god.
That's so funny. I've been thinking recently for my band's next EP release, we are going to go to a venue that we really love to play at. But I have been thinking recently of going in, like renting out a skate park or renting
That
out
would
like
be
somewhere,
sick.
right?
Cool.
Yeah.
I was
some
like,
deep-
let's do
do it
something
yourself.
weird as shit,
DIY.
so that people are just like, I don't think I like them, but like I feel like I have to go to this because like what the fuck?
Like the location is just cool. Yeah, no,
Like,
definitely
why?
do stuff like the
When does this
basement shows.
happen?
Like I love that stuff.
I love it too.
House shows, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, yeah.
It's a good vibe. Sometimes you have to you just have to keep doing everything. Whether it's too small for you, too big for you, just try.
I love
And
that.
what sticks sticks. If it doesn't, then trial and error. That's what it's all about.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready to cap it out?
It's always capping it out.
We do 5 questions at the end, really quick.
I was
I
like, wait, what do you
say-
mean ready? I'm like, I'm not ready.
It's just
You're
like,
like,
I have
I
no
don't
idea
think
what
so.
you're talking about.
Not now. I'm not.
Cannot properly answer your
We
question.
do 5 questions at the end. We ask them, answer off the top of your head. Like, don't take too much time to answer it. Like, whatever you're
Oh,
thinking
boy.
in the moment.
They're so easy.
Yeah, they're really not too bad.
They're not
So,
too bad. Okay.
First one is, out of all the things in the entire world, and out of like working a day job and working another thing, because obviously that's tiring and hard. Like I know that life. Why did you choose to do this as the thing that you have to do? Why is this your calling, your thing?
I love talking to people. I just, and it's so strange because like I talk to people all day, and sometimes you get home and you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone, but it's like a different way you're talking to people because I'm in the service industry during the day. So I'm talking to people and I'm rushing around, and it's the same similar kind of stress. Like you have to do this now, do this, give me everything you've got, kind of serving to people. But I feel like I don't want to say they're temporary exchanges. But I guess you don't really give yourself enough time to really know the person on a super personal level. So they're kind of like brief connections, small interactions, but you're making like a big connection with them.
Nice.
I like that. I like that thought. You're getting close at a distance. And I feel like that's what I dig about it.
Cool.
It's just like you're not really letting them in too much. I'm not talking about my clients. My clients are let in. Like my clients are legitimately like my family.
They're in.
Yeah, those are my homies. But like as far as like publication wise, and also that's the reason why I got into this, because I wanted to start like a family and I wanted to have my clients. I love my publications. They're amazing. They're not mine per se, but when you work with them, they kind of see like the professional side of me and that business side of me at a distance. So it's like there's two reasons to it. It's like I don't really have to get that really close to people in a business forum where I have to always see their faces. I can talk to them online. I can talk to them at 10 o'clock at night, at 12 o'clock at night. And it's just really cool how you have people just binding together to help out somebody, i.e. in this case, my client. And then I'm also in this industry that I had to do this because I wanted to create a family and I wanted to create trust. And I really love having the rapport that I have with my clients and the people that I work with, because we joke around, we have trust, and I feel like it's not always just business. It's like we're friends too. We could talk to each other about things. And I think that's really important when you're starting up in a business that, I mean, they're not going to walk all over you, but they respect you enough to be like, all right, you're also a really cool person. I can talk to you about, my personal things, and you can talk to me about your personal things.
Right.
So I guess I just wanted, like I said, a family, and I wanted to have a distance in the networking community where you're not all up in their face, but you're still there,
I like it. So what is the biggest mistake that you've made along the way, where if you could, this is the adaptation, it's been working, dude. I don't know if you've seen it. If you could take the lesson that you learned from it and just magically pop it into the other person's head, right? That you
Without
would say to them, don't do this thing. Like you're talking to 5 years ago you, who's trying to go down the same type of path, and they're like, hey, what do I avoid? You're like, you automatically learn this lesson, but don't do this thing because it sucked. What's the worst thing?
Don't take things too personally.
Okay.
100%.
How do you do that?
It's hard, especially when it's your business and it's your baby.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something that you created.
That's it.
Exactly.
When it's your creativity, because it's just like, this isn't like a
creative baby.
This isn't like I made like a stapler and then I made another stapler and I'm just on a stapler line. It's like I put a large chunk of myself. Yeah. Even me when I'm just doing like,
dude.
A commercial. It's just like I put me into that thing that was reading that.
It's art.
And we're just like, it's just like, but I'm insulted. You didn't want it? What do you mean?
Yeah. And that's it. You have to have thick skin. I've definitely gotten thicker skin. I'm working on the taking things personally, but not everything that people do is because of you. It's a reflection of them. If someone cancels a show, it's going to make you look bad, of course, because you're the middle woman here, in this case, because I'm a woman. And you're going to be like, all right, great. Like, but you can't take it personally. Or you have someone who agreed to do an interview or do something and then they make it look stupid and then they cancel on it. Or it could be anything else. A publication not accepting you. You can't take it personally. It's not you, even the artist. It's not right now. So you just have to keep trucking and moving forward. And also at the end of the day, just how you react, because things are going to happen, but you just have to make sure. I'm not saying I ever reacted in a poor way, but I'm just saying that you have to make sure that the way that you react in a situation, especially if you're trying not to take things personally, is business wise. Just kind of be
Yeah.
like, all right, like we're going to go our separate ways, or okay, I'll remove you from my list. No big deal. Like just be respectful. And, you know, because you want the same respect back. If they don't give it to you, don't take it personally. You walk away and you get yourself out of that situation, because that's how you continue your business, especially with
especially in
a whole
that
bunch
line
of
of
different
work.
people. Yeah, because like everyone's different. Everyone reacts different. Like you said, everyone has a different perception of you. They may perceive me as something completely different, and they don't want to work with me, or vice versa. So it's all relative.
I try
Don't
to
take it
play.
personal.
I try to like play in the middle the most that I possibly can, where I really don't listen to people that just give me negative feedback, but I also equally don't listen to people that just give me positive feedback.
Yeah, you
I
need
don't
negative
listen.
Neither
I
of
don't
them-
listen to either one of them.
Neither of them help.
If they're like, "You're the best man," that's the best song. That's the best. I'm like, I take it. I thank them. I'm
cool.
like, thank you. I'm so happy you think that way. But when I walk away, I'm not like, yeah, I'm the best. Never think that.
No.
And I
be
also
humble.
like when someone just flat out shits on me and they're like, that guy sucks. This song sucks. And they just like, and I always hear that from that one person. I always just go like, I didn't hear you. Like, I don't know. That person's probably unhappy. I don't know why they're so unhappy with life that they have to work to
Or
do that.
what
But
don't you like about the song? Because I would like to hear, you know what I mean, like the negative part.
right, get the constructive portion. But then the other thing that I would say is that if I hear redundancy from multiple different perspectives and biases, then I'm going to listen right away.
Yes.
If I hear that song sucked,
Consider the
person-
source.
from
That's
the person
main
that
thing.
said that it's always good, and I heard that song sucked from like multiple people, the song probably sucked, and the market just told me that it sucked, and I can't take that personally because I was just told what's the way that something that I made is performing in real life, and that's just like what you were saying, Nicole,
informed.
is like it's just business. It's not anyone like trying to down you, but it's like that's just how the market just reacted to the thing that I created, and who am I to say? I can say how it felt to me, and it still could mean something to me. Maybe I wrote a song about my father, and then and someone said it sucked. That song that could still mean something to me, even if everyone, and then I even validate that they think it sucked. But it doesn't mean that everyone has to like. I don't know.
Right.
It's crazy. It's like it's so
You
impossible.
can
No,
play
I
the
agree with you.
validation.
You have
You
to
can play the
consider the source.
validation.
Like you said, it's just like you hear it from a bunch of people and you realize like, oh, like maybe it's a constant. You hear it from the same person over and over again. All right, maybe you're a hater.
Right.
Most
So-
definitely a hater.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Flip side to that. You're talking to 5 years ago you, and you're like, what's the best thing that you've done along the way where you're like, thank God I did that. That was the best choice that I did that. You should definitely
Thank
do
God
it too.
I went off on my own, and me and my old business partner went our separate ways because like there was no lack of trust. There was definitely a lack of trust. There was no trust, I meant to say. And just like we had like different ways that we wanted to run the business. We both brought similar things to the table, so we kind of clashed in essence. You know, I think that if you have someone else on your team, they have to bring something different
Yeah.
along with them. You can't, if you bring the same stuff, it's kind of like, all right, we're just staying still.
It's
Wish her the
redundant.
best. She's doing her own thing now. I think that's amazing. But I definitely would say that I was very scared to do it at first, but the fact is like that I had the strength to go off by myself and I lasted a year. I think that that's great. And like I said, now I only have thoughts for the future. Like, oh, eventually I'll start delegating and I'll get a team and I'll grow a team. So I think that's the best thing that ever happened. So don't ever be afraid to like go off on your own. Trust yourself. That's like the biggest thing I learned in the past 3 years, even before I started this company, but especially in the last year.
Awesome. So what would be, it can be a book, a podcast, video, movie, like what's some type of resource that you'd recommend to the audience for like the PR game? Like what's something that you recommend they check out to get better at it or to learn more?
Ooh.
Any mentors or things you learn from maybe?
I really taught myself, to be honest. So I what I used honestly was online.
Follow me.
Was what?
Just like listen to me, listen to my podcast, and follow all of my websites. I am very inspiring.
No, honestly, like, no, you should listen to a bunch of different people, read a lot of books, like, how you mentioned Elon Musk, just even if your industry isn't in like any of those people's industry, just look up entrepreneurs, look up what they do. Look up
Transferable
Jeff
skills.
Bezos. Yeah. Listen to their stories, Bill Gates, everything, just Henry Ford, just like make sure you're familiar with what they did and like, oh, cool. Like maybe I can do this. Or then when you're familiarizing yourself with PR, I would Google it because the internet is amazing. And movies, they only tell you what they want to tell you from like certain perspectives. I also think that the internet also tells you what it wants to tell you. But I learned from the internet, and I think that you can as well. They can as well. Or YouTube, which is great. Like just
any like
research.
specific creators or websites or anything like that you particularly like got a ton from? No, multiple sources all the time.
I'm trying to think like who really inspired. Like I know Dana from Big Picture Media. She started her company by herself. I didn't really learn anything from her, but her story inspired me.
Okay.
And maybe I've read a couple articles where she gave tips, but it wasn't like if you're Googling like how to do PR and like you're researching and just gun ho on the internet, I think that's the best way to learn about something. You can even like get like, I think there's PR for dummies, but you have to make sure it's like, since we live in a technological age, everything's changing every 6 months.
Relevant.
So that's why I always say internet or the computer, because
I do agree with that. Like that social media, like there's things that are moving real quick that you can't just rely on like an audiobook that was written in 2012 or something like that. If it's like
you can
in
use
regards,
it as a basis. You can
surely can. And if they're like a stupid smart person, you can feel it inside the way that they wrote that, of like how they're using a vehicle to move through the way that people communicate or interpret things and everything like that. Not saying that you can't get information from things like that, but like confirming and reaffirming what you just said, where yes, PR is one of those things where that's going to change all the time.
Yeah.
Social media is going to change all the time. So cool.
Unfortunately, you have to roll with the punches when it changes, but it's kind of cool to keep showing your feet.
Last one's the easiest. Where do people keep up with Rough Edge Media and Nicole and Remy?
Does Remy have his own Instagram?
Remy actually has an Instagram. It's Rem_rat.
No. Yes. All right. Cool. That will be in the show notes.
Follow him. He's a cool guy. He honestly he's like a chihuahua, so he's not really my bodyguard, but like he could be security for Rough Edge Media. Like eventually down the line, just seeing him chilling there with like a little like bulletproof vest, just like
a
little pair of little chihuahua sunglasses.
Hell yeah.
He's a little badass. He's just sitting there like just laying on all my clean clothes right now that I have to put away, just dirtying them up.
Perfect spot.
But now you don't have to put them away because they're dirty.
Yeah, now I got to re-clean them. Yeah. He's not that dirty though. But you can find me on Instagram, rough_edge_media. I'm working on my website right now. I'm like the most imperfect perfectionist. So I'm just like having someone else do it because I know it'll never launch because I'm always going to try to pick something about it. So my friend life. Kyle with his company Brink, they're working on that right now. I'm also on Facebook, no underscores, just Rough Edge Media. I'm on LinkedIn, Rough Edge Media, YouTube, Rough Edge Media. And then my own personal account is Nicole_Gentile. It's GENTILEE. So yeah, if you want to keep up with me, good luck. And, definitely go to those places.
Sick. All right. So anyone out there, I will throw those links, including the one that she mentioned earlier about Rocket Reach, all in the show notes, wakingupfromwork.com/show notes. If you want to check that out without trying to write something down while you're driving, that would be
don't do that stupid shit.
Ideal.
Don't do bad stuff when you drive.
Just don't do anything but drive.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast, Nicole. This was sick.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for dealing with my technical difficulties with my phone.
Thank you for dealing with the people that we are.
Technical difficulties. That's what it is.
Oh, yes.
All right, guys. That's going to wrap up episode 45 of the Waking Up From Work podcast. If you want to check out the show notes, go on over to wakingupfromwork.com/show show notes, and you can see some of the resources and notes on the podcast. If you want to see what Nicole's links are and check out her stuff, they're going to be there as well. If you want to tell us who you'd be interested on us emailing and calling out to try to get on the show as an interview, please shoot us an email at wakeupfromworkpodcast@gmail.com. And we'd be happy to hear who you'd like us to interview and what types of things that we've yet to cover for you that you are wondering on. I will go out and try to find that information for you. If you're looking to check out any video content we have, you can always join us live every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at Dave Wake Up on Instagram. We go live during the episodes before they air. Or you can go to our YouTube channel, just look up Waking Up From Work Podcast, or at Dave Wake Up on Instagram, on IGTV, actually more there than other things, and I don't know why. But that's the type of guy I am. So thank you guys so much for joining us on this week's episode. Looking forward to spending Thursday night with you again. Have a killer week.